God damn it. Fucking damn it. I kind of did this to myself because I'm not gonna say that I was highly anticipating this movie. But when I found out that they were making more Strangers films, I got curious. My interest was piqued. And when I saw that this was directed by Rennie Harlin, I thought, well, there's no way this can be bad. Right? What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB. Deliver the depleted uranium to Juan. So, go back home? Is that what they're saying? Home? Is this your home? And I just got back from the theaters, God damn it, from seeing The Strangers Chapter 1. This is a 2024 film, and like I said, this is directed by Rennie Harlin. Now, if you don't know who that is, if you don't recognize the name Rennie Harlin, he's directed a lot of movies that I've either grown up on or just really enjoyed. I'm talking about Die Hard 2, which is a little underappreciated. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, which is technically the very first movie I ever saw, definitely in theaters, because I was a baby. I was like a couple months old when my mother took me to see that film. Cliffhanger, Long Kiss Goodnight, Deep Blue Sea are just some of the films that Rennie Harlin has directed, and I'm not saying every movie he's made is a banger, is a certified hit. There were a couple movies on his filmography that I was like, oh shit, he directed that. But I don't know if there's anything as bad as this. This is one of those films that I don't know who was asking for it, who was begging for it, who was clamoring for Strangers movies. I mean, the very first film came out in 2008. I saw that in theaters. I didn't really know what to expect. My friend and I, we were both freaked out. We thought it was creepy, and it was the subtlety of the scares. And more so of putting yourself in the same situation as the main characters, being home alone and being in the middle of nowhere, not being able to get help immediately. And having three masked people who are just fucking with you just to fuck with you before they try to kill you. Like that as a premise, it's simple. There's really nothing to it. You can't fuck it up. Now, they made a sequel that came out a couple years ago, and I remember watching that and thinking, okay, this is decent. These are, I believe, prequels? I could be wrong. Maybe it's called Chapter 1 because it's its own sort of story. It's called Chapter 1, so I assumed they mean it's an origin type film, or it takes place in the past. It can't be after the second film. Right? And so maybe it's after the first movie, but before the second movie. Or maybe it is set years and years before that original film. But if that's the case, then I have many issues as far as logic on one particular thing goes. But let's just pretend that, because I guess we don't know fully what time period, what time, what year this movie takes place in. As a story, bare bones. So straightforward, it's not even funny. We're following two characters, a couple, Ryan and Maya. They've been dating for 5 years, blah, blah, blah. They are road tripping. That can be fun. And I instantly was like, okay, yeah, I know this feeling of having to go through one particular town, and you're just going through, and you're feeling like the town folks are looking at you, treating you a certain way. They know that you don't belong. When the car doesn't work and they have to go to an Airbnb. Here's the part where I said, wait a minute, if this is a prequel, the first movie came out in 2008. Airbnbs didn't start becoming a thing until 2008. So if this takes place before the first movie, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's not, though. Maybe it's some other time period entirely. But they go to this Airbnb, but it's not even something that like they themselves set up. They just sort of trusted the people in the town of like, hey, you can go to this place. And so that's where it already lost me, because it's like, well, they're here by design. It's clear that these people in the town set them up. It's more reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre as far as how the characters end up where they are. The other Strangers movies, I liked more the fact that the couple or the families were going to go to this location wherever they were going anyways. And it just so happened to also cross paths with a bunch of psycho killers. The whole idea of them being set up by a bunch of people in the town, at least that's where I figure this is going, is very played out and lame, especially at this point. Like I said, there's a bunch of other horror tropes that it sort of makes me think of. But that reminds me, at the very beginning of this movie, they have this text on the screen that talks about how real life crimes have happened just in the world, how often they happen. There's so many crimes happen per second. And here's one of the worst violent crimes ever to happen. They present this like this is a true story. Fuck off. This ain't no true story. It's a little too late in the game to be trying to pull some shit like that. Let's talk about the actors. Ryan and Maya, played by Froy Gutierrez and Madeline Petch. Acting-wise, they're fine. They're fine. Especially the actress, Madeline. I think she did a great job of playing scared. There's one moment where she gets injured on her hand and she's having to stay quiet, so she's crying and just trying to hold it in while showing that she's hurt. She had many moments like that I was impressed by. But as far as characters and how they're written, the writing's not good. It's so bare bones, basic dialogue that I couldn't help but think that, like, these two actors are doing the best that they can. But if you had really experienced actors or good improving actors, they probably could have beefed it up to make this maybe more entertaining, to make the characters more likable or more memorable, because I'll already forget about them in just a day or two. Literally beat for beat, it's the same cheap scares that they did in that original film. There's nothing different, there's nothing surprising, there's nothing that, like, it's so much the first movies, beat for beat, as far as what the killers do, how they fuck with them knocking at the door, asking for a person that's not really there. It's a lot of the same tricks that, like, I know you could argue, well, you have to do that because it's the Strangers and that's what they do. Sure, but, like, if this is a prequel, then give me something different. Give me maybe a slight change of a variation of this, or how they became to do these type of things. Or have this movie be from the point of views of the killer, which I know might not make everybody happy. Some people might hate that. But fuck, at this point, I don't want to just watch the same film. I'd rather go home and rewatch the first movie, because that was done better. And I thought those scares were more subtle. There were scenes of, like, Liv Tyler standing in the room, and you could vaguely see the guy in the mask in the background, in the shadows behind her watching. And you almost will miss it because there's no music cues in order to hit you over the head to get you to try to jump up in your seat. This film, it's filled with music cues. Duh, duh, to try to scare you. And it's like, man, you guys are trying so fucking hard. And there's so many parts of, because they're fucking with them, and because it's only been like 40 minutes, well, we can't kill them now. So we just have to, I don't know, break down the door and then just bounce. Because we have to kill another hour before we get to the good stuff. It's just, this movie does not work on so many levels. A lot of the dumb decisions that the characters do, a lot of the dumb things that they have to write them to do in order to further the plot is quite frustrating. And then the very end, like I said, copy and paste. I don't know if you give a shit about spoilers. I'm not going to get into it, but it's copy and paste. We've seen this. We've been there. And then the very last shot is like, to be continued. Because the plan, mind you, is to do 3 films and shoot them back to back. I think Chapter 2 is supposed to come out later this year. Now, marketing-wise, production-wise, that's smart. I'm sure if you put it all as one story, you get to keep the same actors, you get to tell. I think Rennie Harlan said that the whole idea is that this is a 4.5 hour movie that they're just stretching out. And sure, concept-wise, that's fine. But there's not enough here. There's not enough character here. There's not enough story here. There's not enough intrigue. It doesn't end in a way where I go, ooh, I can't wait to see what happens next. All it does is make me roll my eyes and say, oh, I just wasted an hour and a half of my life. I don't even know if I'm going to see the second one because honestly, who gives a shit? Especially wasting my time to go to the theater. I'm going to give this some old bullshit.
Man, this some old bullshit.
Rennie Harlan, I expected more. I did. What the fuck? Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below if you too saw The Strangers Chapter 1. What did you think? Do you give a fuck about this franchise? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.